Elisabet and I worked for American Express for many years. We're not going to say how many, but for many years. And about 15 years ago, we started working on cultural change and becoming internal cultural change agents. And we started by looking at culture and change, and also the emotional attachment to the organisation and the emotional connections. So we've been doing that for ever since then, and have been working with many different organisations and now cultural specialists. We worked out that culture never stops, and it's just evolving and changing, and we're always working on what the culture's like and how we want the culture to be. So one of the questions we get asked a lot is, what is culture?
Well, what is it? You can describe it as how things get done within an organisation, and that is many times very implicit. It's hard to pinpoint what it is, but it's how people do things. It's not about what people do. It could be an aspect of that, but most importantly, it's about how people behave and interact with each other. Yeah? And you could say, does that really matter? Is our behaviours that important? So what do you say? Why does it matter?
Yeah, why does it matter? It's a great question. I mean, what we do is great. It's all the things we need to operate within and work on, but how we do it is the glue. It's almost the glue that goes around it. And we want to have a healthy culture in an organisation. People love working for organisations that have a really healthy culture. So we can create that culture. But it's not just a soft and fluffy thing. People often talk to us about, is it soft and fluffy culture? It's not just a soft and fluffy thing. It does actually reflect on the bottom line. So there's a lot of research done, and Harvard have done a lot of studies in the US on 207 organisations over 11 years. And they looked at them on the high-performing cultures and the low-performing cultures. And those that worked on culture, in terms of revenue, increased their revenue 4 times those of the low-performing organisation. That's an outstanding result. Yes. Not only the revenue, but on stock increase, it was 12 times. And that's phenomenal. So you can't really ignore culture. It isn't that soft and fluffy when you start thinking about it in those terms. So I guess that's why it matters. But the other thing that we get asked a lot is, well, what makes up culture? So what is culture, Elisabet?
Well, the ingredients of culture, because it is about behaviours and interactions, it's about how people do things, and it starts from the start when you hire someone. So an effective culture, if you can start from the start, you hire people to fit the culture. You hire people that will share the values of the organisation, because people want to. Most of the time, people enjoy doing things that make sense to them, where they feel that what the organisation is all about is something that they buy into, that they can connect to. So if you can get that right from the start when you're hiring people, you're on your way, at least the first few steps. But the culture is also made up by the rules within the organisation then. So there are explicit rules at times, like a code of conduct maybe. But more importantly, there are implicit rules, and the implicit rules are made up by the behaviours that we can observe in other people. So, for example, imagine that you're a leader and you've decided that you really want people to have a good work-life balance. But at the same time, what you do is you praise people for working all hours. You're saying, oh, this is such a great person because they really put all these hours in. And then you're actually sending the message that what matters is working all hours. And that is the culture, right? So it's what you do. It's not what you say. It is what you do that creates the culture. And another way of looking at it, or an additional aspect of that, is if you want to create a culture, then go ahead and be specific about what expectations you have. So if you want people to get involved, make decisions, share ideas and so on, you may need to put that in people's goals, because that will help drive the kind of behaviours that you want to see that is about decision making or creativity. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I guess you start to think about, well, where does it start? Where does culture start? Well, culture starts with each individual, with everyone, every day. Yeah. So every interaction that we have is the culture. It's the way things get done. It's the way we do it. And what we do with culture is take it down to a manageable, tangible piece, because everyone gets afraid about culture's this big thing and how do we wield this big culture. Well, it starts with me and how I behave. It starts with you and how you behave. And it starts with how you are with your team, whether you're the leader of the team, whether you're in the team, on the team and you're part of many teams, and it's how you are within that and how you start to every moment create what you want to create. So the good interactions you have and the bad interactions, and no one can go it alone. So we all do this together. We all work together to create that, but it starts with us as individuals and teams. So when you go back to thinking about the research, 4 times the revenue of other organisations and 12 times the stock increase in terms of that great statistic.
Stark numbers.
Very stark, yeah. I think you then ignore culture at your peril. But I think what we've done is start to think about how can we not make it such a big yieldy thing to get your arms around. And so we've written a book that starts with it starts with you, and in the book we have written the book in a story format so that you can engage with it easily and read it. So tell us a bit more about the book and how that links into culture, Elisabet.
Yeah, the book is called The Team Formula, and it tells the story of Stephen, who's the leader of a merged team, 2 organisations that merge. He gets a new team that comes from both organisations, and the team isn't functioning. The culture isn't a very healthy one within this team, and he sets off on this journey really wanting to create success for the team and for the organisation, and he starts working on the culture of the team, although he may not at first know that it's about culture, but it's all about culture. And I'm going to leave it there. I don't want to spoil the reading experience for you. We really hope you're going to enjoy reading the book, and we hope it'll help trigger your thinking around culture and where you are with your team.